Okay, so this works. It says IETF 120. The chat works. Oh. I'm not used to being a delegate.
You're doing
I was
well.
going to ask for scribes. I mean, I was going to ask for note takers, but that's not quite right, is it?
We do need them. While we're waiting to start, anyone interested in helping us with notes? I can only see half the room, so if you're raising your hand, you'll probably have to step up to the mic.
Like this? No, it's this thing.
All right, so Michael and I will help with notes.
Yeah?
Dave,
It's not, no, it's not ringing. We can't hear.
are you going to turn on the camera?
Yeah, I can do that.
What?
Oh,
Oh, we can see them both. Look at that. He's wearing his IETF 99 shirt.
Indeed.
I thought the Meet Echo has the blur thing of the back of me.
Unless these are notes from last time. 120.
Today's time and everything.
But I just wonder if the template was pasted in.
Are you commenting on the slides?
The agenda before to see if.
It's the correct agenda.
Here or not. It is correct.
Yeah. So we don't have to do anything. We just have to say whether people did something different than what they said they were going to do.
Oh, to take notes? Okay, I'm like
Because
thinking,
there's the
what?
notes are almost complete already.
Oh, somebody set it up.
The meeting's already happened. The chairs have
Somebody set it up. Aren't they
really
good?
set it up properly. Yeah.
Now what are you doing? Who?
Where are all the chairs?
They're right there. I'm your sec AD. No. Do you want to say something?
Something.
yeah.
It's better. I mean, it's workable. I wouldn't call it.
I see. So our voice is voice volume is lower in the room.
He's working on it.
I see.
Well, should we get started?
Yeah, let him work a little bit longer on this.
Okay.
Because you all are talking first and we won't be able to hear you.
That could be a feature.
He's working. You want us to keep talking? Yes. So
hello.
maybe, yeah. So maybe we go ahead and start, and like the beginning stuff's pretty simple and ordinary stuff. So you can talk and do the beginning stuff, and by the time we get to something real, he'll have it fixed.
Sounds good. All right, Akira, you want to take us out?
Yes. So yes. Hi. So this is a SIT working group session. It's the 1 hour session, and happy to start. And this is a note well. So basically, it's about the policy of the IETF session and in general about what you need to consider about the patent and how the audio and slide will be made public. And most of the people who is attending here pretty much seeing this note well many times, but yeah, it's we need to show this slide every session. So next page, please. And yes, code of conduct. Basically, it talks about in the session or any of the activity in IETF, help each other in productive way, and don't even their discussion might have a disagree or it's something it's not on your wish, but we need to keep it as a productive discussion and making the talk progress. Yes, next page, please. And these are the links to Meet Echo, which used to be a Jabber. It's to Julep now, and the note takers. I think is it still using Etherpad or a different system? Anyway, for the note takers. And do we have a note takers?
We do.
Okay. The
Um,
next page.
Who are they? Just so we know.
So Kathleen Moriarty and Michael Richardson are taking notes.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Next page, please. Yes, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slides. And it's a 1 hour session, but it's 7 slides. It should be we should be having enough time. Yes, the next page, please. So we start from a suit manifest format, and I think. Should we start from this slide, or who is going to talk about the suit manifest? Brendan or?
No, I think we want to give a quick chair status though.
Oh, I see. Okay. So the draft is updated to 26, and it's submitted to ISG for publication. And from the last time in IETF 119, we did agree to change the suit install Suicus number from 20 to 7, set from 17 to 20, but it's still um, 17 in the draft. And there's about a few discusses. It's not still pending. And there's one comment from Iana comments. Yes, that's the status of the draft right now.
So we need to get these issues addressed so that the draft can
Yes.
move forward. Trust domains.
And yes, and the next is the trust domains. Yeah, trust domain is version 07 now, and it's submitted to ISG for publication.
We just did this yesterday, so Deb, I
Yeah.
think it's in your queue.
Yeah.
You did. I have it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So that's a good news. So, and another thing is firmware encryption. This was most of the activity happened from IETF 119 to 120, and we submitted to IESG for publication in July, and the IANA review is okay at the moment. And if there's one draft depends on the, on the firmware encryption, is IETF Kosei key thumbprint. But this is also in a good reasonable shape. It's waiting for AD follow-up, AD go ahead, and AD follow-up.
I think Paula is the responsible AD there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And probably this will be, yeah, Hannes or Ken might be talking. And the next is secure reporting update. So this is version 09. It's in working group last call at the, last time at IETF 119. And we need to go, this is some homework we haven't done from 119 to 120 is we need to write this write up and do the review, chair review.
Right. So we'll do that within the next week or so after the IETF and get this moving forward.
And the next draft is a strong assertion of the IoT network access requirement. It's typically people call suit mud. And this is also depends on the same closest key thumbprint draft. And this also it's submitted to IESG for publication. And yes, and this is depends on the suit manifest. And IANA review is just version changed. And there was a discussion at the IETF 119 that whether we use our URI or IRI, and we agreed to keep it as a URI after the IETF on 119. And I think that's how Brendan was wrote in the slide for this session. And next page, please. And the draft mandatory to implement algorithm for the suit manifest. It's too long, so I call it suit MTI. And yes, this draft depends on the firmware encryption. And yeah, it's in working group consensus. So write up will be needed by Dave W.
Yeah.
There's
And I-
two.
I apologize for this. This has been in my queue for some time. I've started on the write up, and I'm hoping to wrap it up by the end of this week.
And the last one is update management extension for suit manifest. Yes. And this is,
sorry, Kira, go ahead.
yeah, and this draft we need more feedback. That's what we discussed from 119, and still we're waiting for more feedback and then review. I mean,
I don't know if Hank's in the room, but he volunteered last time to do a review, and we haven't seen that review.
Hank is in the room. What?
Oh, I heard Hank's talking when we were setting up the.
He's in the room.
He's in the room.
Yeah, so definitely on this draft, if we can get anyone in the room to volunteer to give this a review, we really don't feel comfortable moving it ahead and calling consensus until we get a little bit more review on it. So if you're interested in reviewing, if you could make yourself known.
This is MTI or the update draft?
This is the management extensions. Yeah, suit update.
Yeah, suit update. Suit update.
Hank remembers now.
Thank you in advance, Hank, for your review. All right, well, we can talk about this again when we get to that part of the agenda.
Mm-hmm. So should we move to the slide and change the slide?
All right, manifest.
Is this you? There you go.
Brendan, are you in the room?
I'm in the room. Amazing.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So, yeah. So I think Dave is running the slide. So if you say next slide, he'll change it for you.
Sounds good. Okay, so as I think the chairs have already mentioned, there are a bunch of discussions on the suit manifest. We have done our best to address them. I think they are mostly fixed. Next slide, please. So I'm going to go through some of these changes just to give a flavor of what's been addressed. So we added a couple of new definitions. One of the particular changes that was requested by Ori was that we reference hash data elision. So we now have a definition specifically that is referencing that. Because of the proliferation of the term severable element throughout the document, it would have been a really major change to replace that with elision everywhere. And as a result, what we've just done is defined it in that way. There were also some questions about the context around wanting to have a recipient MAC a manifest and then store that MAC as an authentication technique, rather than having a signature verification on every use. This is a specifically bootloader context solution, and it's for constrained devices. So we've added some notes on exactly what the scenario is that you would be looking for to make that choice. Next slide, please. So the severable elements thing showed up in a couple of places, and so we added some more clarification on the use of severable elements and the relationship between that and elision. There were a couple of concerns about the exact terminology used in the abstract machine pseudocode definitions. I've renamed statements to expressions. I guess a statement is a very old term for code, whereas an expression would be more recent. So I've changed that. Hopefully that clarifies things. A little bit of clarification around exactly what it means to run parallel processing in the manifest parser. That clarification, hopefully with a bit of terminology around the use of barriers and draining and filling the command queue or command pool, will hopefully make it clear exactly what's going on in that scenario. Of course, that will need to go back to the, which was that was the art review, I think, and hopefully we'll get some clarification that is okay now. Next slide, please. So this is one of the more controversial ones, I think. So obviously we've talked about URIs versus IRIs at IETF 119. But regardless of that, there was still a concern in one of the discusses about exactly what it was going to mean for URIs in suit for internationalization. So we've clarified in the suit manifest that that URIs in suit are specifically there to be machine readable, and that they are specifically UTF-8. And I'm hoping that between those two things, it is clear exactly what the context is around these URIs, and that we've also explained that it is exactly the same encoding as CBOR tag 32, just without the tag, because we don't need a tag since we already know from the context that it's a URI. Hopefully that makes everything clear. And hopefully that removes any concerns about internationalization of the URIs. But again, that's going to take another round of feedback, I think.
Do you want to take comments?
Yes, please.
Okay. Dave Teller.
Hey, so I commented on this at IETF 119, but once we say that it's more machine access only, right, then it's just bytes where technically it's ASCII, right? You can have percent encoding of things, but why do we need to say that the percent encoding is specifically UTF-8 if it's only machine access? So why was that necessary?
Well, I guess my take on that is that it doesn't have to be percent encoded, honestly, if it's UTF-8. But I mean, this is so far down into the implementation details. I'm a little bit, since it's machine readable only, it's if it needs to be percent encoded. I don't know.
I'm saying URIs by definition constrain the character set, right?
Yeah.
And so the only way to do UTF-8 outside of ASCII is to percent encode them. And so once you already have that, once you already say this URI, then anything about, is it UTF-8, what you're really saying is somehow the percent encodings encode UTF-8 bytes instead of something else. Why do we care?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. We don't care. It's just a container.
I know, but then I'm saying
if you've got a better proposal, I'll take it.
I don't know what I'm asking is why do we need to clarify that suit URIs are UTF-8?
I don't know. I can delete that if it's not needed.
That's all I'm saying is I don't see any reason that that's needed. Once you say that it's a URI, and once you say that it's designed for machine access, it's not going to be parsed into some string, and you're not going to try to match the string based, match some segment of the string based on something. Then I don't think you need to say what it is, right? It's just because URIs are ASCII.
Okay, well, I'm happy to delete the line that says it's UTF-8.
Right. Well, unless somebody else out there says, no, I wanted the UTF-8 in there, here's why, I'm happy to listen. So it's just,
Okay.
I was one of the people that was arguing during 119 to just say it's machine access only. You don't do any matching. You just resolve the URIs and there's nothing else. You don't have to say anything else, I think.
So are you
So it may
actually
be useful to look at.
I just don't care.
okay.
So it may be useful to actually look at how CoAP uses URIs, because this sometimes will be used with CoAP. And saying URIs are ASCII or URIs are UTF-8 is really confusing, because URIs in their percent encoded form are ASCII. But that's not interesting. The interesting thing is what the URI means. And in CoAP, we decided to actually do the percent encoding before we, percent decoding before we send the thing on the wire. So you will not say see percent AB, you will see 1 byte that has the hex value AB. And in CoAP, we decided these decoded URIs are UTF-8. So if you want to use CoAP, it's a pretty good idea to have this restriction that the decoded URIs are UTF-8. So I would argue for keeping that restriction in there. But of course, you should clarify that this is not the percent encoded thing, which is by definition ASCII, but the percent decoded form of the URI should decode to UTF-8.
So can I clarify, Karsten? In the CBOR URI tag 32, does that specify whether percent encoding is used or not?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
Okay.
Well, I tried.
That's useful.
Tag 32.
Well, Karsten, maybe you could look that up and clarify on the list for us.
Yes, sure.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I think we have
So
David.
how important is tag 32 for you?
Who do we have? We've got
David
Brown.
David
Yeah.
Brown.
I just wanted to make sure that we're not, but when I see this as suit URIs are UTF-8, my immediate thought is, oh, they're not actually URIs, but arbitrary UTF-8 strings that are URI-like. And I wonder if that's the distinction we'd be clarifying. Are these actually URIs, or are you saying by putting the UTF-8 in here, this string actually is allowed to have UTF-8 characters in it?
URIs are ASCII.
Well, what I'm
There's
saying
no doubt about that.
is the intent of this field that it's not actually a URA, but something else. What do you mean, Brandon? I guess would be the question.
The intent of this field is it's a resolvable pointer to an object that your device can fetch. That's the intent. If you've got I thought that a URI was the optimal thing to use there, but given that URIs are ASCII encoded and the internet is increasingly not ASCII encoded, perhaps there's a better option. So
URIs still are ASCII even on the internet, though. So
right, but CRIs are not. Right, so it comes down to what should be used here, and I personally wouldn't select a CRI, generally speaking, if you are dealing with data that is predominantly ASCII, because, well, they're bigger. But maybe with internationalization, it makes more sense. I don't know.
Michael Richardson, the mic. I looked it up, whatever, 8949, and it does not say.
Okay.
It refers to 39, whatever the URI definition. So
Excellent.
I would think it means it's percent encoded.
Yep.
That's what I would take from it. And which means you can't string compare them.
Right.
Because there could be percent encodings anywhere.
Yep.
Right.
All right. I'd like to go to Dave Thaler, and then we're going to have to move on. We'll have to take the rest of this to the list.
Yep.
Okay, I was just going to summarize. I pasted into chat what the text out of the document, and there's like 2 or 3 of them, but they're basically the same, right? And this is what Brennan's referring to, where it says a UTF-8 encoded URI reference and references RFC 3986. Right? I'll just reiterate, once you reference 3986, you don't need to say UTF-8 encoded. You can just say a URI reference RFC 3986, right? Because that's saying it's ASCII, and any internationalization is done at the time that you're percent encoded, and what appears in the suit manifest is percent encoded stuff, and whether it came from UTF-8 or something else, the suit parser has no clue and doesn't need to because it's just going to resolve it. So I think just deleting UTF-8 encoded is fine here. So
Okay, so just delete that line and move on.
just delete those words, right? The rest
Yep.
of the sentence is fine. Could be that specifically because it references 3986, and that
Yep.
reference is what answers the question.
Perfect. Let's do that.
That sounds like a way forward. Brendan, clear?
I think the conclusion is we stop saying that it's UTF-8 and move on.
All right. Well, let's move on with the slide then.
All right. Right. So one of the things that came up during a conversation with an implementer was that there wasn't actually any reference in the manifest document to an optimization I thought we all knew about. And so I have put an explanation of that optimization into the suit manifest document. So what this is specifically is that you don't always have to go and fetch a copy of a payload if you know that you already have it. And there are a couple of ways you could do that, but essentially if you hash it and you've got the right hash, you already have it, so there's no sense in downloading it again. And so I've put that explicitly into the suit manifest now so that it is clear to implementers, which it evidently was not, that this is an optimization that's available to you. And that applies to both fetch and copy. Next slide, please. So there were a number of bits of feedback on the IANA considerations. There was specifically the comment that where we used expert review, we also said that there needed to be documentation about exactly what the expert was reviewing. And so specification required sounded more like what we actually wanted. Taken that on board and changed it from expert review to specification required. We've added reserved to all the 0 indices because we reserved all the 0 indices. Previously that wasn't documented as reserved. There were also a number of elements which were listed as reserved, but there was no explanation as to what they were reserved for. So we've deleted all of those. Then there was a recommendation that we consider changing from the media type from application suit envelope to application suit envelope plus COSI. The reasoning being that there is a hypothetical future in which we use an authentication mechanism other than COSI. And so that seemed reasonable, so I've added that. I think that, outstanding issues. Well, it turns out that there is one outstanding issue, and I just want to go back to the chairs for a moment because my recollection of suit 19 or of IETF 119 was that there was no consensus on changing the suit install key. That was my preference at the time, but there was, in my recollection at least, disagreement from the room. And when I checked the notes, I didn't find that agreement in the notes. So I didn't change it on that basis, otherwise I would have. If we do in fact have consensus for changing the key, I will happily go and do that immediately. But I didn't know that that was an option that was on the table, so to speak.
Yeah, my recollection of this was there was definitely some leaning towards making the change, but we talked with the ADs during the 119 meeting, and there were some concerns raised around how far the draft was with making that change. We had a conversation with them afterwards and got the go ahead and make that change. So unless there are any objections, we can go ahead and make that change.
Yes.
Okay, understood. Obviously, not having been there, I didn't have that conversation, and it wasn't in the notes.
Yeah, that was written in the list after the IETF 119.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, so if you can make that quick update, that would be appreciated, and I think we're ready to move forward.
Well, I mean, can I publish drafts now? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
then
it's
I can
open.
make that. you know,
Do it right.
to well, my laptop's over there.
5 minutes.
We'll get you back to it soon. All right.
Right.
Thank you, Brendan.
So I think that's the end of that one.
So you're going to make those changes,
Yeah.
republish the draft. Have you gone back to the people that filed the discusses to tell them that you've updated it?
No.
Can we do that?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Because then they will know to check
Yes. Okay,
and
we'll
clear
do.
their discusses, and maybe you will be good to go.
Awesome. That would be amazing.
Right.
All right.
Perfect.
Nice.
Is this you
All
too?
right. Oh, Hannes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I skipped trust domains. We're doing trust domains.
Dang it.
So close. Next slide, please. All right. Yeah, nothing's changed. There's no known issues. Next slide, please. Right. So there was a bit of feedback from last time, and I'm just going to go through it again so that it's clear where we're at. So we had feedback from an implementer, and the implementer said, well, you might change trust domains between fetch and install. And if you do that, you have to verify again. And that was something that we hadn't originally considered in suit. So that caused a bit of it essentially caused the upheaval about renaming or rekeying suit install. So if that's the case, then what that means is that we actually missed an ontological distinction here. We had an update procedure, but that's actually composed of two things. First, you have to obtain the firmware that you're going to install, and then you have to install it. So there's actually two different procedures here, and we had missed that. And so now what we're proposing essentially is to divide those apart, add a new command sequence, which allows us to do that pre-verification. And then once we've done that pre-verification, then we can go ahead and do the install. So that's where the rekeying discussion came from last time. We've added this new suit candidate verification to allow that to go forward. And I believe at this point, with those changes, we are ready to publish this particular draft. I think it should be good to go. I'm sorry, the chairs went through a lot of slides. I forget exactly what the status on publication to the ISG was.
We requested publication of this.
Okay.
And this draft has already been updated, to reflect the 17 to 20, key change. So we should be good to go there.
Yep.
So this is the one that's in my queue today, right?
Yes.
Yes. I have one question. Dave Toller is, you wrote the write up, and is that finished? Is it, or it's in the middle?
Oh, I locked the key. Let me unlock it.
If that was a question to me, I don't know the answer.
I'm just here to look good.
I'm gonna grab my water.
That's not true, actually, but
Yeah, that was to you, Dave.
now you have people in the queue. No? Nobody.
I said, if that was a question to me, I don't know the answer.
So you wrote the Shepherd write-up for it. Could you just verify that it's complete and ready to go?
Is that a request for me to do future work, or are you asking about what I did before?
We're asking about what you did before.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
You could just go to the data tracker and read the Shepherd write-up that you wrote and make sure that it's...
The reason I'm asking is the note from 119 is it's yes, you mentioning you act as a document shepherd for as a volunteer. So and whether you had to update it, or was that already finished that time?
Okay, and just to be clear, we're talking about which document right now, so I make sure I'm looking at the right one.
Trust
domains.
Trust domains. Okay, I'm just making sure because we've gone back and forth on a couple of them here. So.
For what it's worth, we reviewed it before we submitted it to Deb, so we felt that it looked
like we're not here.
Like it was ready to go.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking at it right now.
Just let us know if
Uh,
there's any issue with it.
So Dave, you do have some TBDs in that Shepherd write-up.
That's what I was just going to say. It still has a couple of TBDs.
Well, you have time because I haven't read the draft yet.
Okay, how soon are you going to read the draft? The two ones are just the ID NITS tool, and are there any informative references that should be normative or vice versa? Both of those should be really easy to update. So that's doable this week. So not a problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So you're going to do that, Dave?
I'm going to update the document Shepherd right up this week. Yeah, just to fill in those two DVDs. That's right.
Okay, I won't read it until you do that, though.
Okay, well, if you were going to read it this week, then that would matter when I would do it. But I'm guessing you're going to be busy this week.
It's not going to be this week, so you're fine.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
And thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You might have two documents then.
Right.
So now is it honest?
Yeah, now it's Hannes.
Okay, next one. So here's the status. Luckily, the document is in very good shape. So no open issues that I'm aware of. Has been submitted for publication. There were review comments which I addressed in the latest version, which are submitted in time for the submission deadline. We have also, which I think should make all the examples. There are lots of examples in there, and some of them are full-blown examples. So I augmented them with a description and also with line numbers. So to focus the description on specific line numbers, I added some inline comments in there into the line numbers as well. So that should be pretty good, I think.
It's in working group last call. I mean, it's in IETF last call. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I submitted it. It's due to be finished IETF last call on the 2nd of August.
That's perfect. There's this dependency on cozy key thumbprint, which is also further along, which is good. So that's all positive. Of course, it depends on the suit manifest. So in that sense, it will be blocked. But okay, that's fine. Next slide. Just to reflect a little bit on like what we've actually done. That was a little fast. What we have done after like a few years of work. So in essence, we have come up with a mechanism to encrypt all the payloads, whether that's firmware, we channelized it to software, there's configuration data and so on. We've then sort of made use of it in deep. It's a very generic mechanism. For the key agreement, we provided two mechanisms in there. One was based on AES key wrap for if you use symmetric keys, and ephemeral static Diffie-Hellman if you want to use public key-based cryptography. So that covers well, basically our selection of from the offered mechanism in COSI. So that's good. The instructions for doing the encryption, they are based on the suit manifest. And as I said, like with all the examples in there, that should be good. The examples are working. They have been generated with Ken's libc suit implementation. So it's not just made up examples. So it's like real stuff. And there's the link to the code, so you can run it yourself. And we've also in the document addressed specifically some of the constraints that we see on with flash memory on microcontrollers with the sectors. We have registered the CBC and CDR algorithms in COSI as part of that work, and made that work in this document. So the examples also illustrate that. Oh, and yeah, so it's actually quite some work. Initially, that was part of the suit manifest specification itself. But as it turns out, it's a little bit longer description, and we actually had to do far more work than we anticipated. So here we are. So quite good, yeah. For a little while, we got lost with HPKE, and then we came back, and so another detour. And so there would be some more review comments along the way, so we'll need to take those into account. But given the dependency on the previously mentioned document, I think that's we are in good shape on that document.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
I don't know what's next.
Next is the suit report.
You'll all be sick of me by the time we're done here. Next slide, please. Yeah, no significant changes or open issues. Next slide, please. We'll talk about what happened last time. There wasn't much. It was an addition of failure reasons. The failure reasons were just the various different ways that a suit manifest install or indeed an invocation or secure boot could go wrong. So that's what was specifically requested for reporting reasons. And then also the ability to carry a capability report in the suit report. And what a capability report does is it tells a distribution system or a developer exactly what the device believes it's capable of within the suit context. There's a lot of optional to implement capabilities for suit manifest processors. So having a way to determine what they can do is very important for a manifest author. I think that's, there's only 3 slides here, aren't there?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So
Kira and I both have committed to review this draft, and it looks like there is no new feedback on the draft. So after we're done with that, we can call consensus and do the Shepherd write-up and move it forward. So hopefully we'll be able to do that soon before the next IETF.
Great. I guess we go to the next one then. That was fast.
It's like progress.
Absolutely.
This is mine.
Don't tell Roman.
I don't think we have a slide for this, right?
I should do. I thought I submitted.
Oh no, there is
Yes.
one. It was at the bottom of the list.
There we go. There it is. Now, did you submit new ones for this?
Yeah. This slide is
Right.
yes.
I think they sweep the slides in 20 minutes before the meeting, so if it was submitted after that, it might not have gotten in.
It's
You
no.
can-
This is the one Hannes submitted. I changed it.
He can
yes.
pull it in though, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. I can quickly go through that. So that this is a suit mat document which we submitted to the ISG ahead of most of the other documents, which was kind of interesting because we started with this work much later. So MUD is the manufacturer usage description, which describes its work that was done in a different working group, which describes the network behavior or requirements of the software running on a device. Like, does the device use, let's say, HTTP-based communication with some server? Does it require DNS interaction and so on? So it's supposed to help network operators to configure firewall settings accordingly. So that was work that was MUD itself, the MUD file, and the MUD manufacturer usage description was published in, I don't know which group, but I don't know. Which one?
It was an ISC submission.
Oh, okay. So, and in this document, next slide. In this document, we extended that functionality to specifically secure the way how devices present this information to the network based on the information provided by the developer. So the developer writes the firmware, writes the code for the device, which then ends up as firmware with the update on the device. And alongside that manifest is a pointer to the MUD file, which is sort of the core assumption in that document that I think a very reasonable assumption from a deployment point of view, like who else is best in a position to describe what the device is doing other than the developer. And so that's what the document does. Next slide. And so here's a snapshot from the architecture to show how that works. So at the bottom, you have the developer submitting the firmware update with the suit manifest along, which includes the MUD file, the MUD URL in that manifest gets to the device. The device needs to make that available to the network. For example, using the attestation evidence, the work in the RATS group. There's a manifest claim defined as part of, for example, EAT. So that then gets from the device to the network. And the network needs to follow the procedures that are defined in the MUD specification, which is to talk to this MUD manager to get to ultimately pick up that file, the MUD file, interpret it, and configure the firewall rules, and then let the network secure the communication in the way that it's appropriate. So that could, in that combination, with sort of the combination MUD, suit, and RATS sort of ends up defining a very secure deployment infrastructure for IoT devices. So that's in a nutshell, just to, in case you haven't been following any of that work the last few years. Okay, so the document that's far along, no open issues, doing well, but it's blocked by the suit manifest because it defines an extension for the suit manifest. So that's.
But you can still progress it, right?
Yeah, it's just sitting there and waiting for
it's
the
not-
other stuff to
It's
complete.
not
that.
in misref, is it?
No, it's not that far yet.
It's not.
It'll just miswrap if you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But you don't have any blocking discusses
No.
on this document anymore.
So that's
I
good.
mean, all you just need to do is up issue it, tell
Yeah.
Roman,
Yeah.
because he can
Okay.
push it along, right?
Okay. Then
Is
I will
there-
do that. Mhm.
Is there value to waiting until manifest goes through to do this?
It's almost completely orthogonal to the manifest.
But it defines a.
I can't hear the conversation. If you
Okay.
could come to the mic.
Sorry.
Brendan at the mic. There is very little in Suit MUD that actually references the manifest in any way. It is simply a container that lives within the manifest. And because of that, I think it's pretty reasonable to say that we don't really need to hold it for anything. Changes in the manifest won't affect it.
So you just need to go to Roman and say it's ready to go, because Roman's holding it.
I understand, yes, but it get as far as just.
I mean,
But it still can't get published before the suit manifest.
no, but neither can
Yeah.
the rest of them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
everything hinges on the manifest draft
Yeah.
anyway.
It can basically sit in with a misref in
Yes,
the
yes,
RC
yes,
editor
yes.
queue.
And he's ready to go for manifest, so you might as well go ahead and move this along,
Yeah.
right? So just tell Roman it's ready.
Okay.
Because he's holding it, not me.
Oh, really?
Right? Oh,
Okay.
yeah. No, it's
We
Roman.
will track him down.
Track him down.
I think minimally we want the manifest, the MTI, and this probably to go out together, right?
Right, but you can queue them all up so that they hit the street at the same time as soon as manifest works its way through.
Yeah.
But manifest still has discusses on it, right? So this one doesn't. This one's just on non-blocking comments. You should just up it and go.
So who's taking the action to talk with Roman?
Hannes,
Can we note that? Thank you, Hannes. All right, so next we have MTI.
clear this whole thing out. Right? It's the goal.
We're getting close,
So,
though.
okay, Suit MTI. Next slide, please. All right, again, no major changes, and now there are no known issues. There were last time. We'll cover that in a moment. Next slide, please. Okay, so there was a minor error, and what it was that the algorithm identifier was that indicates the encryption or the key encapsulation algorithm that's used was not changed when we switched from HKDF to a 128 key wrap. So that has been updated now, and that was the last known outstanding issue to the MTI draft. Next slide, please. Just to clarify where we are today, what we have is 6 algorithm profiles divided into 4 groups. So there's a symmetric algorithm profile for very constrained devices. We've got 2 different current algorithms, which differ only in the use of ECDSA 256 or EDDSA. Then we have 2 AEAD algorithms, again, both current, and again, they differ in ECDSA 256 or EDDSA, but they also differ in the AEAD algorithm that's used, because we know that Cha-Cha Poly goes very frequently with EDDSA, so if that is what a user or an implementer wants, then they probably need that profile. It seems to be pretty widespread. Then we've also added the future asymmetric constrained algorithm. The reason I call this constrained is because all the other PQC signing algorithms are substantially more complex and larger than HSS LMS, with the possible exception of Falcon that's not been standardized yet. So that's the slate that we currently have for MTI algorithms. I should clarify that what MTI means in this scenario is that it's mandatory for an author to implement these. It is not and for intermediate systems to implement these. Devices must implement one, not all of them, just one.
So I'm in the mic without a hat.
Okay.
So your future asymmetric suite is not what I would call matchy-matchy?
No, I agree.
You know what matchy-matchy means, right? So the fact that you're using a AES 128-bit key wrap, but then an AES 256-bit counter
Yeah, that's
mode's
not right. That should
matchy-matchy,
be
right?
256 in both cases. That's not right. Okay.
But then you're
fix
using
that.
SHA-256, which is also not matchy-matchy.
So the SHA-256 is an explicit choice to deal with the explosion that you get in HSS LMS.
Okay. It's okay, he says. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, key wrap should be
So
256.
there's a typo there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll make sure that that's correct in the draft and that they're both 256.
Thanks, Brendan.
Mr.
problem.
Richardson, we have another.
Go ahead, Michael.
Michael Richardson, the mic. So I was actually, I did a presentation a couple of weeks ago about this actual list to an internal group, and I actually didn't figure out how to match the future asymmetric, the HSS LMS, to the HSS LMS documents list of criteria.
Okay.
Probably that's my ignorance of understanding part of it. And so I was like, well, like this has this table with these questions and you have these answers. And I just couldn't match the two of them. So probably that to me says that there's some missing text
Okay.
to explain it. I also didn't really understand why in that case there was an AES listed. Okay, I guess that's for encrypted firmware.
Yes.
So, but I don't understand quite. So that means that's going to be a symmetric key
Yes.
only that the device has to know to unkey wrap.
That's correct. And essentially the problem that we face in this group is that there are no standardized PQC key encapsulation mechanisms that would match for this. We don't have any. There are no constrained ones at all. And as a result, this is what we're stuck with. If someone comes up and presents a constrained PQC key wrap algorithm, then we would obviously pick that up. But right now, there aren't any standardized.
So the other thing that I found was a little bit confusing on a naive read was I was like, well, I just care about signatures. Why is, so I don't think I have to implement AES key wrap if I'm not encrypting firmware.
That's correct.
Okay.
Unless you're also doing encrypted reporting. So if you are sending reports back and you want those encrypted, then you need to implement that.
So I actually think that means that there is another dimension of MTI that I think, so I would really split things up. These may be good, these go together nicely in their security properties, okay? But that, you don't need this unless you're doing this, and you don't need this unless you're doing this other thing.
I'm pretty certain that we had some words in there specifying that you didn't have to implement the encryption algorithms.
What my rereading of the document 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was like, wow, this is a really short document. Isn't that nice? So I think maybe there's just maybe a few more words that need to go in there, and I'll try to suggest some, but I didn't know what to suggest because I didn't really understand why. Did I need to implement them all? And I also didn't figure out how to match things.
Well, the matching thing sounds like that needs addressing. So we'll take a look at that.
I think I sent you an email, but I know you're busy. You were busy at the time. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Russ, I think we missed you in the queue.
Down. Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's all right. We'll give you a pass.
Thank you, Russ.
So what I think is the situation is signatures or integrity. In that first case, it's integrity based on the HMAC with a pre-shared key. And then if you're doing encryption, you're doing a key management and a cipher. And so if you think of the first two columns as required, and the other only needed if you're doing encryption, then you, in either direction.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Then this makes sense. And I thought there were words that said it.
I thought so too, but now you've got me questioning myself.
I could be the one hallucinating. I may be an AI, but so that also suggests to me, though, that there may actually be different choices for different directions.
That's possible,
Okay.
but we are
That may
talking
be
about
silly.
constrained nodes.
That may be silly, but not every node is as constrained as other nodes.
Yeah.
And the report, we have the business of I'm downloading the suit manifest in my richer environment, okay, and then my bootloader is doing all that other stuff, and then it generates the report, puts it in Flash, and I may have a richer environment that I can upload with.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that maybe there's some nuance there that I think is really worth outlining, specifically because, well, product line managers are dumb. And
So they're
get freaking out about things that they don't need to freak out about.
There absolutely is some nuance there, but the challenge that we have is if we don't set up profiles, then we end up with a lot of different permutations of exactly what's implemented.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And so the
I agree
point
with you.
here is to try and restrict the combinatorial explosion and to lay out specific profiles that you should use. And if we start saying, well, if you're going download, it's this one, but if you're doing upload, it's this other one, we can end up in a situation pretty quickly where things don't work out very well.
So maybe this is enough. Okay, in this slide, the second plus, which is essentially between this, if you look at behind you, right?
Yep.
The second plus is between the signature and the encryption.
Yes. Yep.
Maybe just change that to a comma.
Sure. Okay.
And because it sort of implies this is a paired thing and there's two of them. Okay. But it's not it's a this plus this, comma, and this plus this. And maybe that would be, enough to make people recognize that they're for different parts.
Sounds good. We'll put some commas in.
Brendan, are you pretty clear on what needs to be done here?
I think so. I think we
Okay.
need to make sure that it matches with HSS LMS specifically, to make sure that that's clear, and we need to put some commas in. So that the conclusion, I think.
Seems
That
pretty
is what I was hearing. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
We have just a minute left. Let's see if we can do update management real quick.
Is it me?
Got like what, 3 minutes?
If, yeah.
All right, next slide, please. No major changes. Next slide, please. All right, so just to recap from last time, really it was just about what the semantic versions mean in this draft. So what we've done is added a version for the manifest, so it now has a dedicated spot. You can version an update, and rather the whole tree of manifests by putting a version in the top level manifest. And added a text version as well. Then a little bit of clarification around what exactly the pre-release indicator means, because of course semantic versions can have a whole string of things after a pre-release indicator. So we want to be able to represent that. And so that's all merged in now as well. And as far as I can tell, this one is waiting just for some more review, because right now, as it stands, we've had review from one implementer, and this was what they brought up. And other than that, I think we just need some more review.
Right. Again, so anyone who would be interested in reviewing this draft, please raise your hand, step up to the mic, let us know. We need your review.
Update management.
Update management. So Dave, if you get to the point where you're stuck for reviews, you can always put in an early review. So you can do an early sector review or a review from other places that you think would be useful.
Yeah, I think
And
I may
will
do
get you
that.
more reviews as well.
Thanks for the suggestion. I think, I'm sorry, did I miss something in the room?
No, it's just me being too far from the mic.
All right, well, thanks, Brendan.
Thank you, everyone.
So I think at this point, we're more or less done with the suit at IETF 120. So thanks, everyone. And we hope to see you at the next IETF meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah, thank you. It was a really good session this time.
Thank you, Akira. So Akira, we should probably sync up late this week, early next week.
Yeah, yes. I prefer late this week.
Okay. Do you want to email me some times and then we'll do that.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
That went much better than I expected.
We're actually making some progress.
Yes.
You are. Good job.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
And
Thank you.
active session too.
Indeed. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.